Hey guys, it is Bikini Pro Regina Perez Fitness, and I am very excited to be on here with you all to go, and we're going to talk about a lot of great topics. So for those of you who don't know who I am a competition prep coach, a judge, a posing coach, and I'm heavy into the beauty consultation. I make sure you look good from head to toe, body when you step on stage, and I absolutely love seeing women transform. Tonight we are going to have retired IFAA figure pro on here to talk a little bit about her journey and how she got into the competition world and what made her decide to stay and transfer over to a bikini competitor. So let's go ahead and get her on. It says sent. Let's see. Go ahead and type in the box where you are tuning in from. You can connect with another beauty. Let's see. As you on, we may have to do a room chat, which I'm perfectly. All right, we're going to play a little game while we wait for her to get in there. So a lot of you may be in prep or thinking about prep. So we're going to do this little game called This or That. And I want you to put in the comments which one you prefer. So for this or that, first we're going to do for your whitefish, cod or tilapia. Which one do you like the most or better? Because no one really likes, those things. But which one, cod or tilapia? Put in the comments. And I want to know which one you would prefer. Then that we're going to go into. So cod or tilapia, which one do you prefer? Cool. See these comments down here. Cod. I do like cod. I feel like cod tastes pretty good. Hello, beauty.
Hi.
I do like cod. I feel like
I prefer cod.
Hello, beauty. I do like cod. Right. Cool. I gotta turn it up. Okay. Perfect. So I kind of gave a little bit of an introduction of who you are, but if you can let them know, kind of a little bit about your background. I got some questions, but just so you can give them a little synopsis of who you are.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Of course.
Absolutely appreciate it. So my name is Kawana. I go by Q. Everybody in the industry knows me as Q. And I I used to be an IFPA figure pro, which is now known as OCB pro for a lot of the newer competitors or people who are planning to get into the field, if you will.
Okay.
IFPA is now OCB pro.
I did not know that.
Yes, so we'll be dropping a lot of history tonight. Yes. So, yes, originally, when OCB formed, and so it's 20 years ago this year. So in 2003, it was OCB, the amateur, and then IFPA was the pro component. So
Got it.
I've been around since 2005.
Okay, I got some questions. I don't want you to give them to them all just
Okay.
yet.
Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to know is you kind of talked about it when you got into competing, but
Yeah.
what drove you to keep going?
So I was really intrigued by my body's transformation. Like a lot of people don't know this about me, but I'm very much a science geek, especially when it comes to like the human anatomy and just how the body
Changes. It's so
changes.
amazing.
how it changes, and especially through diet and exercise.
Oh
And
yeah.
I've been an athlete my entire life, and it was so that part of it was one of the reasons why I stayed in for so long. But the other part of it was that it was an outlet for me. When you start adulting,
Mm.
you know, when you start adulting, you need an outlet. And for me to feel whole, I guess, I needed to always feel like I was an athlete. And bodybuilding allowed me to still be an athlete.
Yes.
I'm a military veteran. I was
Girl, I did
married
not
at the time.
know that. We have a lot in common. Okay, so
Yeah.
first you said you did sports. What sport did you do in high school? I'm curious.
So I ran track and field.
Okay, me
Um,
too.
I was on the dance team.
Yes, sure.
I was on the swim team. I was a cheerleader.
Okay.
Yeah, so all the things, basically anything I could get my hands on. And
Cool.
so yeah, I needed that outlet. I needed that outlet. When I got out of the army. I'm about to date myself. When I got out of the army in 2004,
Okay.
I I had realized that I hadn't pursued my dream to bodybuild. And so what a lot of people don't know is it was just men's and women's bodybuilding and like fitness, right?
Right,
Like
right. And that's
figure
kind of
was
like dying off fitness a little bit, a
it,
little bit.
oh no, a lot, except for on like the NPC side. But like
Yeah,
on the
they're
natural
heavy
circuit,
into it.
it's gone, right? Like on
OCB
the
natural, yeah, there's
OCD,
even
it's
a
gone.
fitness
Yeah,
category, like it's out.
it's gone, and it's been gone for a while. Um, so needless to say, the Arnold Classic was held right in my backyard, which is Columbus, Ohio. I graduated in the same venue that the Arnold Classic is held in, and so it was always a dream of mine to actually grace the stage and compete in the Arnold Classic. And it was just my dream to be a bodybuilder as a kid. And
Okay.
so, life, fast forward, and again, life happened, military, marriage, kids, like all the things.
The
And I,
military
rea-
speeds things up for sure, 100%.
and I realized that I hadn't done what I had said I was gonna do,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what sparked it though was my sister was actually about to graduate from high school. We're 10 years apart.
Yes.
And she was living with me, and we were going through my senior book. And in the book, it literally says, I can't wait to see you grace the bodybuilding stage. I can't wait to see you on ESPN. Like, you're going to be the best bodybuilder in the world. And like all of these things that my classmates had wrote because I had said I
You
was
were
going to
gonna
be a
do it.
bodybuilder.
And
And
you have done it, and you've been very successful.
but at that moment, I hadn't done it. And I looked at her and I said, wait a second, I got to do what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
So in that moment, it was really just about accomplishing what I said I was going to do. Because I'm a firm believer, once I put it out
You gotta
there in the
make
universe,
it happen.
I got to make it happen. And I hadn't thought past that. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to do this forever. It
And that's
was,
how it starts.
yeah,
It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this,
yeah,
and then it's addicting. I'm gonna tell y'all, for those who are looking to compete, being on their glitz glam hair, just
yeah.
being your best self is addicting. So
It can
yes,
be. It absolutely can be. So for me, it was really just let me do what I said that I was going to do.
yeah.
And then from there, like I remember it like it was yesterday, and my memory is horrible. I won't even lie, but I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember doing my first show, and I placed in the top five, which is a big deal if you're brand
That
new.
is good, because you what I placed, I was like top 10 my first show. So for those of you who think you got to get first number the first time, it doesn't always happen that way. So
No, no. And so after that show was over, there were two things that happened. Number one, I looked at the pictures and I realized I had no business being up there. Well, it's not that I didn't look good, but I had a great body. I didn't have the physique. I had a body, and I've
yeah.
always had a body.
Yeah, that's what it was for me. It's like I had the flat stomach, I had all that, but my whole
Yeah,
overall look presentation was not
but
what it should have been
that was why
for the
I placed
show.
top five because I showed up and I presented well.
Yeah.
And that was the light bulb for me. I was like, oh, but that's the one thing I know I can control. I can control
You
how I
can,
show up
most
on
definitely.
stage. And that's why I placed in the top five. But I was intrigued to change my physique. And literally 4 weeks later, I competed again and I placed second. And I put the pictures next to each other and they were two
Very,
different bodies.
very different.
Right. And so
Very.
that was when I caught the bug because I was very attracted to the science, the math and the science behind
Yes.
how my body
It
was
can
starting to change.
change. Yes.
And
For every prep, it's different. Like
it's
how
different.
much water you intake, how you work out, like nutrition, everything
Yeah.
is so different. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about athletes who follow the plan because like trust me, I got you. Like if I know and they not doing what they supposed to be doing.
Oh
I
yeah,
know.
same, same, same. I'm
Because
like, you might as well just go
consistency
ahead and
will win
confess.
every single
Yeah, you
time.
might as well just go ahead and confess because like I'm looking at these pictures and I already know. So you might as well just go ahead and tell me. Yeah. Um,
Yes. Okay,
ironically,
so how many organizations have you competed in?
um, so, gosh, that's a great question. Um, most of my grassroots were with OCB and IFPA and also with NPC. I also competed on the national level as a figure competitor with
Okay.
NPC as well. So, yeah,
Yes.
so I earned my pro card with IFPA for figure. And then I actually competed in figure for NPC and qualified nationally and competed for probably about 3 or 4 years. I competed nationally
Okay.
for figure, but I decided to focus on the IFPA pro side
Yes.
and like just kind of narrow there. But even before all of that happened, I was actually competing in what was called women's tri fitness competitions.
Okay.
And tri fitness competitions were
Yeah, you teaching
obstacle
me a little
course.
bit. Like I've heard about it, but I don't know a lot. So let the people who know
Yes.
what it is. Kind, you know what I mean?
So tri fitness is literally three different categories that you compete in one competition. So it's the physique
Okay.
round, if you will. Um, it's the obstacle course round and an like an actual fitness round. So you still get on stage and you compete and you do figure. And then depending on where you're competing at, there could be a fourth component, which is almost like the fitness model
Okay.
category, right?
And
So
this
you
is
have to have the
all one
energy to,
show?
yeah,
Oh wow, that's a
yes,
lot of changing and moving and
yeah, yes. And so you have to have the energy
oh
and the
yeah, 100%.
stamina to do the obstacle course. And then after the obstacle course, you're set up on stage where you're doing, whether it's muscle ups and box jumps and push it, like all of these different fitness things, and they're timed, right? Just like the
Okay.
obstacle course is timed.
Yes.
And then you have to get in your figure suit and you have to
Are
do the
y'all
figure
tanned
round.
at all or
Yes.
no?
Yeah, yeah. So you had to tan, and then there's the fitness model round, and so there were several outfit
So
changes.
you truly beauty and beast mode because that is a lot to do
Yeah,
in one show. When I go on stage and get off, I'm like, okay, with a rice cakes, where this at? Like,
yeah,
let's go. And to
yeah,
have to keep going multiple times, like
yeah,
that is a lot. So
yeah.
you've done the try was it triathlon? I don't want
Try
to say it wrong.
try
The
fitness.
tri fitness, the figure. Like, tell us how you kind of transitioned into bikini because the picture that's on the flyers, you holding up the trophies for
Yeah.
bikini. How did that come about?
Well, so so I actually retired from competing about 10 years ago. My kids were, again, I'm dating myself. My kids, my youngest daughter, who will be 23 next month, she was at the end of her high school career, and I wanted to kind of focus on. I wanted to focus on the kids.
Right, right.
So I was still coaching, I was still judging. Um, I even was part of the chair committee for another organization at the time that was being formed.
So
Like I
still
was
very
still very,
active in the
yes,
community.
still very, very much involved. but I wanted to focus on the kids because they were getting older and they were on their way out the door. Um,
Completely understand.
fast forward, they grew up. I ended up getting a divorce, and um, I don't know. It was like, you know what? I want to know what it's like to actually compete without juggling all the balls in the air because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of us do. We juggle careers and families
Life,
and
work,
life.
school,
Yeah, I mean, I
everything.
was working a full-time job, running my own business. Um, I was my daughter's track coach and cheer coach, plus the team mom for my son's football team, the marriage, landlord, like
Everything,
all these things.
all of the above.
And I was
We
competing.
represent all of this right here. I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
And I was competing. And so I just, it was like, being a bodybuilder was a childhood dream of mine. I would love to know what it feels like to do it without all of the other
Yeah.
variables. Like how if I was able to be that successful then with
Juggling all
all those
of
things,
that, and now
yeah,
you
like
don't have it.
I don't have those things. I wonder what I can do with this physique. Yes,
Yes.
it's older. Yes, I'm menopausal, like all the things, but I don't have all of these other things
Things
in the
going
way.
on. Yes.
So,
And I think for a
uh,
lot of competitors, like, so you were able to do it and you had mom, wife, work, business, and was successful. And so, athletes that are getting ready to start, you can do it. You can definitely do it. It's going to be
yeah,
challenging for sure. Because
very,
I have friends that say they're
very
not even going to start until they retire. And I'm like, start life now.
start life now.
Don't wait if you don't have to.
The biggest mistake that we make in life is assuming we have time.
Exactly. Let's do it now. You want to start? Start. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Try.
yeah,
Don't wait. And I'm really
yeah,
heavy on
yeah,
that. I mean, we see each other, and I'm gonna see you this weekend again
yeah,
too. I'm
yeah,
very okay. You want to do it? Let's go.
yeah,
And people are like, wait a minute, wait a minute. I'm like, let's go.
yeah,
Let's start and let's try.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
how did you do? Without all the kids being out, and you still had the business, but without all
Mhm.
everything going on, how did you do when you started getting ready for that show?
Well, this was definitely a different experience because what a lot of people don't know is that I never had a coach. The
Okay.
my entire career, I coached
Yes.
myself from A to
Hey,
Z. I did my own, even my own
especially if you
makeup
if
and
you
everything.
know your
Yeah,
body
yeah,
and you
I did.
understand the
Yes,
science, you can do it
yes.
for sure. And you did
But this
it.
time I hired a coach because number one, I was just like, I deserve a coach. Like, I deserve a coach. Um, so I hired a coach this time. That was different. I'm also kind of what we call a solo traveler.
Hmm.
I was used to prepping on my own in my own little box. My coach had a team, and so 4 days a week I'd go out and I'd train with the team,
Okay, so
like
local.
be in the gym with the team, and so that was different. But I had to recognize and understand that the industry was different from when I had retired,
Mm,
and also my mindset, I didn't have to have that mindset over the course of 10 years. And so I wanted to be able to have that consistency. Like I don't like to waste time and money. So I wasn't going to cancel sessions. I wasn't going to,
yeah.
I wasn't not going to show up because I'm giving you my time and my
Exactly.
money.
Let's go.
If
Let's
we're
get
going to
it
do
in.
this work, and I don't care how tired I am and how irritated I am from work, right? And so it was very, very different from my past life
Mm-hmm.
where I solely relied on myself.
Right.
And I did everything on my own, which I'm very grateful that I was able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It taught me a lot about who I am and what I'm capable of doing. But also, when it was time for me to have a coach, I came with I came from a different perspective than most people do when they
Right.
hire a coach,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was honestly, it was easier. It was
Yes.
easier because I only had to make my food. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to worry about making anybody else's food and a different type of
Oh,
food or
yeah.
right? So I didn't have to worry about that. If I was in the gym 7 days a week, I didn't have to worry about
Coming
that.
home or picking
Uh,
somebody up from school or taking them to
Yep.
practice or
Yep.
yes.
I remember being at football and cheer practice in the middle of the cold, freezing to death out there on the football field, wrapped in 5 blankets during prep. I didn't have to do that, right?
Right.
It's
It was
literally me,
different.
like it was just me.
So
Eat,
you felt
sleep,
like it was
train.
easier doing
It was
it.
a lot easier. It
Okay.
was a lot easier. My body responded so
Quicker.
quickly.
Okay. And
My
that's why I
body
tell a lot of athletes,
responded
like,
so
you
quick.
have to be able to try to minimize stress if you can. Like, you can't help it, you got to go to your kids' stuff and you got to go to work, yes. But if you can minimize some things, if someone's causing you stress, you may have to tell that person, like, hey, I really want to focus on this competition. Like,
Right.
I feel like you kind of stressing me out. And so I'm not
Yeah.
getting where I need to be
Yeah.
because people don't understand, like, all that affects you and how you lose weight. And
Yeah.
so for you, your body responded quicker because you didn't have, as much to do. And
Right.
I mean that's another part of science. Like, your environment will
Yeah.
basically determine how well your body responds when
Right.
you're in prep. And that's why when I get in prep, I try to do a quick, 12-week if I
Yeah.
can. Um,
Yeah.
Longer
Yeah.
preps, they're a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. I definitely had a stressor. I'll say this, because I'm sure we're going to get into
Mm-hmm.
this segue. I had a stressor that showed up that I had to deal with that was probably by far greater than having to juggle a family.
Right.
But because it was familiar territory to me, it wasn't my first rodeo and it wasn't the first time that I had that kind of roadblock
Right.
thrown at me. I just was like, yep, I know what I need to
Okay.
do and I just need to get this work
Right.
done. So I still had stress, but it just, again, I wasn't juggling a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
My social circle is already small. It always has been. So like I didn't have to worry about people being upset because I couldn't go hang out or I didn't want to hang out. And
That's
the
the
thing is,
issue
I
I have.
can.
People want to go out and
Yeah,
this, and I'm like, Regina, you need
yeah,
to come. And I'm just
yeah,
like, I'm
yeah,
coming, guys. Just give
yeah.
me 2 months.
Never had to worry about that. I've never had to worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's never really been an issue. Like, let me say this. I never had to worry about it because I never made it my problem.
No, I understand what you're saying. Like, hey, this is what it is, and
Yeah.
I'll see
I'll
y'all
see you
next
when I
week or
see
whenever it
you.
is that I see y'all.
I'll see you in
I
off
kind of want to
season.
see which one so when it comes to bikini or figure, which one do you feel like you enjoyed prepping for the most? Like, which one did you like better?
So it, I want to say this. I absolutely am a figure competitor through and
Mm-hmm.
through. Um, and I will be honest with you, had I not taken off 10 years and I was consistently still training and prepping, I would have probably not switched to bikini because my
Mm-hmm.
physique would have showed
Right,
up for figure.
right. Yep. It's a
But
different type
because
of training.
it is, but because I had been retired for 10 years and I'm 44 years old and I didn't know how much longer I had to be back on stage
Right.
again, I didn't want to I didn't want to waste time
Mm-hmm.
um, putting on the size and
Yes.
redeveloping my
Because
body
you can
to get
slim
back to
down for
figure.
bikini. That's why I was like, if you want to slim down, you can do that. But building takes a little bit more time to get
Now,
ready.
lucky for me, genetically, I put on muscle very easily. So bikini was easy for me, but I had to be careful because I was stacking on muscle pretty quick and I leaned down pretty quick,
Yeah.
right? So, but it also just like it made the prep easier.
Yes.
Obviously, the posing is different, but the showmanship is the same.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm a prep coach and a posing coach, so knowing how to do all of the different poses, like I knew how to do that.
Right.
I did actually hire a coach for a couple of sessions
Mm-hmm.
because a coach needs a coach
Oh, of course.
sometimes. And
Of
so
course.
I just I did figure for so long
You
that I'd have to say
you're gonna ride it out for
figure.
a figure.
I'm
That's
a ride,
okay.
yeah, a figure Barbie to the day I
Okay.
die.
Figure through
Uh,
and through. All right, so we're gonna
how
turn, a little bit serious because I
Yeah.
want to hear your insight and help educate us. So how did you discover? And if I'm not saying it right, please correct me. How did you discover that you had breast cancer?
So ironically, um, it was, I had just gotten back from a cruise. I brought in the new year on a cruise last
Okay.
year. I came home. I literally got dressed, went to the gym and trained with the team, came home and showered. And like I was just achy from lugging all my
Right.
stuff from the
Right.
trip, right? So I'm like rubbing my pec, like, man, my pecs are sore. And I found the lump. It was in my pec. So it wasn't
Okay.
in my actual breast, it was in my pec.
Okay.
And it was like at the time when I felt it, it felt like the size of a pea. And I'll be honest with you, I immediately knew. Like I immediately knew.
Yeah.
I went and had a mammogram. I was actually scheduled to have a mammogram anyway. So they changed it from a routine to a diagnostic mammogram. It didn't show up on the mammogram because it was in the pec,
Right.
but it showed up on the ultrasound.
Okay.
Um, so I ended up going to a breast surgeon. He did a biopsy, and he didn't think at the time of the biopsy, he didn't think it was cancer.
Right.
I knew.
Okay.
I don't know. I just
You just
knew.
had
I didn't.
a
I
feeling. You
I
kind of.
had the feeling, and um, I went in a week later, and he was just like, I was. I didn't expect this, and I said, "Well, you're the only one who didn't. I
Yeah.
did. What do we do?" Well, I was actually 6 weeks out from prep. I was
Okay.
already in prep, coming out of
Right.
retirement.
Because you
So
said you were working out with the team and everything.
yeah, so I was already in prep, and I was 6 weeks out from the Charlotte Cup, which is
Yeah,
NPC,
I'm familiar with that show.
in North Carolina, and I had a whole actually I had a whole prep schedule laid out. So after Charlotte was supposed to be Atlanta, and then after Atlanta we was
Keep
doing
going
Ben
back to
Weeder.
back, back to back.
Yeah, and I remember having to have a conversation with my coach, and it was a tough conversation. And originally, before we even had the conversation about my diagnosis, I told him up front, like, hey, I found this lump, and I'll
Right.
keep you updated or whatever. So once I got the results, I was able to just kind of have the conversation with him. And I remember him saying, like, we're gonna, because it's been 10 years, so we just gonna go to Charlotte Cup and we're gonna use it as your warm-up show.
Right.
And this is what
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
bumped heads. And I was like, see, but that's not what I do. I don't do warm-up shows. I show to
You
compete.
come to destroy beast
I
mode.
like I'm like, first of all, I don't this way too much time and money to just be doing a quick
Mm-hmm.
warm-up show. Like we gonna go
Get it
and we
all.
gonna compete or we
We
not.
want the overall. We want everything.
And so I told him, I said, we got two choices. You give me what I'm asking for, or we don't do the show, because I knew that after that show, I was gonna have to go through a double mastectomy.
Okay.
So there was no guarantees after Charlotte Cup that I would get to ever grace the stage ever again. So I needed to be able to give it everything that I had, because
Right.
again, we assumed
Yeah.
that we had time,
Right.
right? So I I trained hard, and I was in and out of doctor's appointments and
You kept
prepping everybody.
going. You
Yeah,
kept going.
prepping everybody for this journey that we were all about to go on, this crazy train. And I went to Charlotte, and I placed first in 40 plus, and I placed
Hey.
third in the open, and qualified for, national
Yes.
qualified. And then a couple weeks later, I went in and had a double
Right.
mastectomy.
I mean, because I was texting you
Yeah,
via message. I was like, hey, let's talk.
yep, yep,
And
yep,
to talk to you, I guess like maybe a year or so later, for you to be sharing this with us
yep,
is truly amazing because, and that's what, my brand, it represents women out here, whatever struggle we're going through, whatever situation, we're still out here beasting and killing it
yeah,
and not letting it
yeah,
hold us back. And you went in there and they told you, and you're like, okay, well, I'm still going to do this show. I'm still going to go out here
yeah,
and give it my all. And I
Yeah.
think that is amazing. And then after that, to go through the surgery, and
Yeah.
and I saw you. You look good. Okay.
Thank you. Thank
I know
you.
some people go through things and it just takes over their whole life and it wears on them. But looking at you, I would never think that she went through
Yeah.
this. And so hopefully, this reaches someone and shows them like, hey, you can still do this. You don't have to stop. There's ways around it.
Yeah.
What advice would you give women as far as just checking to see if they have breast cancer, or if they are going through this, how you are, going, managing and getting through?
Well, the first thing is, I'm going to say this. So breast cancer is not, it's the first, is the, it's not the first time I've been diagnosed with
Oh,
cancer. This
okay.
was the fourth cancer diagnosis
Oh,
of
wow.
some sort, and
Yeah.
the third time as a competitor that had been diagnosed with some form of cancer. And I will tell you that the reason why I'm able to still sit here, like I get it, like we all have to part
Mm-hmm.
eventually,
Mm-hmm.
right? However, I've always been my own advocate. Um, Especially as a woman of color,
Mm-hmm.
we sometimes don't get taken as serious in the medical community,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be your own advocate.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so
Okay.
when in this particular situation, I was very assertive and very adamant about being in control of what was happening and knowing what my options are and not just letting them recommend what
And
they
say,
think should
oh, right,
happen.
right.
So, for example, when uh, the breast surgeon made the comment to me during what they call a lumpectomy, um, he was like, yeah, it's probably, nothing, and I said, that's fine, but I need you to biopsy it anyway.
Right.
And
Because I'm
he,
paying you.
yeah,
Like,
and
hello.
he did. And then of course he was wrong. And again, this isn't the first time I've had a doctor give me oh, it's probably nothing. And I'm like, that's fine, but this is what I need you to do. And then they were wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um,
So
but
just
the other
you
part,
would tell people to be more assertive in what you want and just don't
be
take
your
what they're
be your
saying.
own advocate.
Yes.
Yes. When he had to actually have the conversation with me about the breast cancer diagnosis, the other thing was I noticed that he didn't give me all of my options. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, we can go back in and take more tissue to check your margins, and then we can consider radiation, and we can consider. And I said, well, time out. You didn't give me the option of a double mastectomy.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, yeah, but because I'm not really recommending it. And I said, but is it an option?
Right.
What you recommend and what my options are
Two
two
different
different things.
things.
And I'm entitled to all of the options.
Mm-hmm.
And it's my body. And the thing is that, again, I'm walking in here and this is a fourth diagnosis. So even if it is stage 1, I had 2 different types of breast cancer in one breast,
Okay.
right?
Right.
So, so here's the thing. Give me all my options to let me make the informed decision. So my
Yes.
biggest advice, and lucky for me and unlucky for me at the same time, I had women in my life that immediately became my support system. 2 of these women actually used to be my
Oh,
athletes.
oh
And,
wow.
and yeah, and so I was with them during their journey. I was a part of their emotional
Right.
support during their journey. And so they showed up for me in ways. And so they were able to empower me and encourage me. And I was the only one in this group that was a woman of color, but they knew that I wasn't getting the same options and I wasn't going to get the
Right.
same
Right.
fairness, right?
Okay.
So they were like, no,
You
you
need
need to
to
make sure you ask
do
about this.
this
You
and
need to
ask
do
for
this,
this.
ask for
Good,
this,
good.
ask these questions about this. I even had my pathology results looked at by one of my other close
Yeah,
friends
it's
who worked with
always
for a
good to get
doctor.
a second opinion.
Yes.
Sometimes the doctors be getting upset with me. I'm like, I don't
Yep.
understand why you're getting
Get it. So
upset. Like, this
I
is
got a
my
second
body.
opinion. Yep, I got a second opinion. Um, and I have been very unapologetic about showing up for myself,
Mm-hmm.
and in all aspects of life,
Good. And
right?
that's what everyone they should. Whatever you want or you know that you deserve, you need to ask for it or go get it. You know,
Yeah.
and if someone can't give
Well,
it to you,
because
go to the next
you
person.
can't you can't expect people to give you what you desire and require.
Yep.
And you can't get mad if they don't, right? Like it's about you showing up for yourself.
Exactly.
And
Every
so
single
like
day.
that's the biggest piece of advice I think that I would give in any circumstance, but in particular this one for sure. Yeah, like I show up for myself and I make no apologies.
Yeah.
Like especially when it comes to my health, I'm like, no, like that's what insurance is for. Like I don't care about the
Yep.
copay. When they try to hit you with the, oh, you want
Mm-hmm.
that? Well, that's extra.
That's
Okay,
okay.
that's
I got
fine.
it. I pay for it. My health is more important. I get the money
Yeah,
somehow. So, and so I
yeah,
think that that's really good that you let women know, and just whoever is watching this, because it is going to be available for replay. Show up for yourself.
yeah,
Know what you want. Go after it. Don't take no for an answer, especially if you know in your heart that something may be wrong.
yeah.
Um, and so with, you no longer competing, how are you staying active within the community?
So I judge
Yeah.
shows, of course. I'm actually gonna, yeah, I'll see you this weekend.
Yep, we sure
And
will.
actually, so I'm a traveling judge. Like a lot of the judges typically they'll judge shows that are kind of local to
Yeah,
where
in
they
the area.
live. Yeah, and I'm a
Yeah,
traveler,
because I was
so
like, you gonna be at this one? You was like, yeah. I was like, okay, she
yeah.
all over.
Yeah, I'll actually, I have a whole judges schedule for
Nice.
2023 already.
I mean,
Like,
if you enjoy it, why not? Like, you get paid
yeah,
to do what you love. So I
yeah.
mean, I
And
love the
then of
community.
course I coach athletes as
Yep, I
well.
remember you saying that too.
Yeah, I do coach athletes as well. The name of my company is actually Team Forever Fit. And it's actually I've been in business since 2007.
Okay, y'all definitely go follow her Instagram. She's gonna post it in the comments, and
Yeah,
then it will
yeah,
be available as well in
yeah,
the description as well.
yeah. And then, you know, from time to time I did promote. I used to be a show promoter.
Okay.
That's not off the table. I'm just not in a hurry. I'm listening to the energy, and whenever it's supposed to happen
Yeah.
it will. But I have promoted shows before. I've emceed before. But I'm mostly at the judges table for a long time because again, I've been around the
Yeah.
OCB for a long
And
time.
we
Uh,
need, judges with that eye
yeah,
that been around and that can really give that good
yeah,
feedback to athletes, other than okay, just, build their shoulders, but
yeah,
okay, what
yeah.
else? You know what I
I
mean?
I think out of all of the things that I've done outside of being a competitor, the thing that I really do enjoy is judging and being able to give sound feedback. Um, it makes me feel good to know that I made an impact on
Yeah.
someone with my feedback and they know that it came from a good place and it was genuine and sincere. And like
Right.
there's a method behind why I'm actually giving you this recommendation, and it's always based on criteria,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna be
She ain't
around.
going
I'm gonna be
nowhere.
around.
She's still
Yeah,
here, thriving. Y'all gonna see her athletes on stage. You're gonna see her
yeah.
at a show. You will see her around, especially if you're in the OCB community. Definitely catch us this Saturday. We'll be in Virginia. If you're there, stop by, say hello. But I definitely appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing your
Thank you for
story and
having me.
just giving us insight about your career as a competitor. Like, it's amazing because I was like, oh, this is so cool because I didn't know about figure to bikini. So I'm gonna have to go back and look at this myself because you have a lot of history and knowledge to share with athletes. So definitely be sure to give her a follow, follow her team page as well. And then if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments or the group chat, and she'll respond to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, yeah. And again, thank you for Thank you for inviting me on.
Yes.
I'm sorry for the delay.
Oh
It
no,
took us a
you're
while to get
good.
here.
You are good. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but we here,
Yeah.
and then we got to get our picture in person on Saturday
Yes,
too. So
yes. We absolutely need to make sure we get our picture this weekend. And
yes,
dress warm, girl, because it's cold
I know.
here.
I was like, do I need to put on a blit? Like, what do I need to
You
wear? A hat, a
you
beanie?
need to have on sweaters and leggings
Oh
and
my
boots
goodness.
and
See, I
coat.
was
It's
trying to be cute with the
no,
crop tops and
no,
okay.
girl, you're gonna freeze to death. You better
So I have on
come.
the bling sweater and
Yeah,
turtleneck and all
yeah,
that. Okay, I'll do
yeah, because it's cold. It's cold here. It is cold
that.
here.
Okay.
So
Cool, cool. Well, you have a good night, and
you
I'll see
too.
you soon.
You too. Take care.